The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
What the fuck are we gonna do now?
Get high.
Hell yeah, we're back. Oh, look at that. I hit the wrong button. We're all on the fucking screen.
Right?
We're gonna go with it.
Good job, jackass.
Well, that's what happens when we take a week off. But yeah, so as you can see, Leo's not here. Jar Jar's not here. So I got my boy Dustin filling in for Jar Jar. What's happening, brother?
Oh, not much. Same old bullshit.
Fucking StreamYard, man. I pushed the solo layout. It didn't work. So now I got to do it this way. Jeffrey.
Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday.
And we're also past tax day.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. That's a good thing, right? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it is. So now that everybody's already seen the guest on the screen, why don't you go ahead and bring him in?
Introduce the guy that was already on the screen?
Yeah, bring him in.
Okay. Let's bring him in. Mr. Ron Keel.
Greetings, world. The Metal Cowboy reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Reporting for duty. Okay,
yeah.
how can I work with that?
I'm sure you'll find a way.
Toking.
I'll
Still
think about
toking.
it. Yep.
Great to be on the show with you guys. Thanks for the invitation and the opportunity. Looking forward to a fun and entertaining conversation.
Well, fun.
We'll see.
We'll go with fun. No, entertaining.
You take care of the fun. I'll do the entertaining. All right.
There you go.
Okay.
That works for me. That works for me. So welcome. You know, we were supposed to have you on, I believe, about a month ago, but you guys were actually in the studio.
Yes, I have been extremely busy. I apologize for the delay. You have been very patient with me, and I appreciate it. It's just been the craziest time of my life, and it just keeps getting busier and crazier as I feel the clock ticking as I get a little older, and I've got to keep the pedal down 24/7. And so I appreciate your patience in getting me on the show now when we do have a short break in the action from the recording sessions and the tour.
Awesome.
Hey, so my first question is, how come your fucking beard is not white?
Well, you want to see it? I've been blessed with good genetics, man. You know, I'm really, really thankful. I mean, and not to get all serious off the, out of the chutes here, but we're losing a lot of friends every day in the business, family members, friends, entertainers that are heroes that are my age or even younger that are not with us anymore. So I'm really, really fortunate. I've never had a broken bone. I've got good genetics. I stay in shape. I try and live right, and so I can deliver the product that I'm proud of. At this point in my career, after 40 years in the recording industry, really lucky just to still be standing and talking and singing well and doing what I love to do.
Right. Yeah, because you actually came out, what was it, in 1981?
Well, I still haven't quite come out yet.
He wanted to show us his Gandalf. I mean,
I came out as the Metal Cowboy about 20 years ago, but my first album was released in 1983 with a band called Steeler. It was one of those foundation albums of that 80s metal generation. The band was based in Hollywood during the Motley Crue, Rat, Great White. I mean, the Sunset Strip heyday of the 80s. And our album came out in September of 83. We just celebrated the 40th anniversary of that release.
Congratulations.
And that was my first album, my first introduction to, worldwide media and the press and the magazines and all that. But, you realize after a 40-year career, there were 10 years before that where you're paying dues and living on the streets and going through hell and trying to make it. So that first album was certainly a cornerstone of my career and became the biggest selling independent heavy metal record of all time. Really put me on the map, and our guitar player, Yngwie Malmsteen, as well, put him on the map. So it really got the ball rolling for me in 83 and got signed to my major label deal a couple of years later. Well, actually the following year in 84 with a band called Keel. And Gene Simmons from Kiss produced our first two major label albums, and the rest is history, man. I'm just so glad to be in the game and still have a voice and some songs to sing and some stories to tell.
That's awesome. What was it like working with some of these big names like Gene Simmons?
That was what I was going to ask too.
It's a great question, and you're going to get that in every interview, man. And I'm used to that.
Let's get it out of the way.
I've got my, and it's a true response to that question. What was it like working with Gene? When we got signed, all of a sudden, after all these years of living on the streets and paying dues and starving and struggling, you've got your major label record deal, and the president of the record company presented me with a list of potential producers. And it was who's who of everybody that produced all those classic 80s albums. I mean, Max Norman, Tom Werman, Michael Wagner, these brilliant, genius producers. And Gene Simmons' name was on the list. As a Kiss fan, I mean, Kiss was my first concert. It was a really big part of my teenage years. And to see Gene's name on the list, it literally just popped out and bit me in the face. And I said, Gene, I want Gene, hook it up. So they did. They hooked up a meeting with me and Gene Simmons. You got to realize we were still in the studio finishing our first independent record at the time. This all happened very quickly in 1984, 40 years ago. And we were still finishing up the the mixes for the independent album Late on the Law, when we got the call that to come back to LA, showcase, we got signed, and we didn't have any new music. I didn't have anything to play for Gene that day except a cassette tape of a riff that we had come up with in the studio when we were cutting the Late on the Law record. I'm producing the album, and you've got all the guys, one guy in the bar and one guy in the bathroom, and there's no video conferencing back then. Everybody's isolated. And once we got all the instruments up and running, I said, play something so I can get a blend of the instruments. And Mark Ferrari, our guitar player, launched into that Right to Rock riff. Da, ga, ga. And I hit record right then and there. I hit record and recorded this as the band starts to come in, drums start playing the groove, bass playing along. A song, it's not even a song. It's just a riff. The guys are jamming literally to this riff. And that's all I had to play for Gene. So we met at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I walked up and shook his hand, and we went up to his room. We had a talk about music, and of course, meeting Gene was a surreal experience. After being a Kiss fan 7 years prior, I had been to my first Kiss concert, caught his pick in the air, got his spit in his blood, and he flames. And so all of a sudden, I'm in a room with him in a hotel room, and all we had was this cassette tape, no vocals on it. Nothing, there's no vocals. It's just that riff that I recorded in the studio that day. And I started playing it and singing along with The Right to Rock. And Gene hit stop on the cassette player and says, okay, I'm going to produce this record. We're going to start Tuesday. And it was like that quick, man. It was literally, and he took us under his wing. He taught me so much about making good records, about stacking big heavy metal guitars, about singing the harmony vocals, song structures, how the kick beat. One lesson I took from Gene that is most people don't even realize how important it is how the bass drum works with the bass guitar. Those those beats have to be synchronized, and he would watch the kick drum pedal, he'd watch the bass player's hands, and he'd make sure that all those kick beats and bass patterns were in sync and providing the foundation for all the guitars and the screaming vocals. And that, on top of everything else that he taught me during that 2 or 3 year process, even now when I'm in the studio 40 years later making albums, Gene's the little demon on my shoulder going, Ron, you should do this. And just taught me so much. And really his guidance, his influence, and the fact that the Kiss fans bought that record the day it came out. Really, I mean, because Gene embraced us and gave us his stamp of approval. You got it. The Right to Rock, produced by Gene Simmons. All the Kiss fans bought it. And to this day, a very large part of my fan base are Kiss fans because they embraced Keel in that early stage. We had the biggest selling debut album in A&M Records history in 1985, in January of 85, when that record came out. Really got my career kickstarted. I can never pay Gene enough gratitude and thanks for his friendship and his guidance and his support of me and my music.
Yeah, for all our younger viewers out there, I just want to say a cassette is an antiquated item that we used to listen to music on.
They're making a comeback. They're making a comeback, man. We're releasing my new album, Keel World, on cassette. And we have a feature on my Patreon page called Cassette Roulette, where I'll take out the old cassettes from the live shows or interviews or whatever, transfer them to digital and share those with the fans. So the cassette revolution is just restarting now. And but yeah, the young people, really, really, really cool story that I can share with you really quick.
What is that? What is that? That's a pencil. That's how we used to fix the cassette.
Right?
That's right. That's right. And I still do that. But there's a whole new generation of fans out there that are embracing this music and still keeping guys like me alive and keeping me in business. They are this music. Let's face it. That's why you play Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister, and Kiss and AC/DC at every major sporting event. Because it's powerful, it's strong, it's got energy, it's got passion, and it resonates with the young at heart. So to see this new generation of fans that is embracing it, enjoying it. I had a fan last week at the Whiskey. We played in LA and Hollywood, back on sacred ground at the Whiskey. And we had these two young people in the front row, Casey and his girlfriend Layla. We've become friends since in the past week. And he's 18, she's 20. They're in the front row singing along with every song. And the music is still having an impact on the next generation. So that means a lot to me.
That's awesome.
Well, music is forever, so.
Right.
Some of it is. I mean, and every style of music is going to have its peaks and valleys, whether it's polka or big band music or orchestra music or classical, blues, jazz, rock, metal, country. They're all going to have their peaks and valleys. We had our peak at just the right time in the 80s. And I'm very thankful, really grateful that I was able to live my life from the 60s through the present day and experience that British invasion of the Beatles and the Who and the Stones in the 60s. And then what happened in the 70s with Kiss and Alice Cooper and the Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. And to look at it now, and I've performed on stage in 6 different decades, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now still in the 2020s. So it really, I'm very grateful for those opportunities and the fact that I've been able to live my dream and literally write my own script, so to speak, in the story of life.
Wow. So you've played with a lot of different musicians, obviously. Who's been, besides Gene, obviously, who has been one that really sticks out in your memories over the years?
Well, playing with musicians, that's one thing. And I did actually get to share the stage with a lot of the guys in Kiss. Gene and I have played on stage together. Paul Stanley from Kiss came out to join my band at our very first gig. This is almost 10 years ago now, when the Ron Keel Band debuted as the Badlands House Band here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I live now. And Paul Stanley came out and joined us for 4 songs at the end of the show, which was a huge thrill. Being able to, and he let me do the duet on Rock and Roll All Night, which it doesn't get any better than that. Playing with, I've been blessed with so many great musicians, a lot of guitar heroes, man, a lot of guitar heroes. Yngwie Malmsteen, of course, probably the most prominent name on that list. His first album was my first album. And going on to Keel with Mark Ferrari and Brian J., one of the best 80s rock guitar teams in the business, to my current setup with the guys in the Ron Keel Band, Dave Cawthorn and Jason Haven. That just really blessed. Mitch Perry from Steeler. Mitch has played with Cher and Edgar Winter, Michael Schenker. When Michael Schenker and Edgar Winter need a guitar player, they call Mitch. I mean, that's how amazing this guy is. He's played with everybody, and he is the guitar player in my band, Steeler. And we have new music coming out from all of these bands. I'd like to plug that real quick if I could.
Absolutely.
The new album is called Keel World. And this is an all-new album of music from all of those bands from throughout my entire life. Keel, brand new Keel, not rehashed, not something from the archives of the vaults. This is a brand new song from Keel called Moving Target. A brand new Steelers song called Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death. Brand new IronHorse, brand new Ron Keel Band, brand new solo material. So I'm really excited about the new album and putting all of this music and these styles in context. It's going to be quite a ride, because I'm going to take you through the musical landscape that I've explored the last 40 years, from metal to country and back again.
How the hell do you keep all that separated?
Just take it one, just like a show, man. Just like a show, Jags. You take it one song at a time, man. Whatever that song needs, you give it. You know.
I mean, I'm a musician myself, and I play in bands and stuff like that. But I can't do, like, I've got to focus on like one band at a time, because if I go doing from one different type of music to another, it like intertwines, and I start writing all kinds of fucked up shit.
I get it. You know, it does take some focus. You have to put everything in context. And for me, with this new album, I know what a Keel song sounds like. And I know what a Steeler song should be. For the Steeler track, Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death, I literally had to forget everything I've learned the last 40 years and go back to that kid from the 80s and forget about some of the how I would write a song now and really let it come from the heart. And it is writing it, recording it, and singing it is very different. The vocal sessions on this record, I'm trying to keep it consistent so that the album doesn't sound like a mishmash of a bunch of different styles, because it really is. I mean, you're going from country music to metal and everything in between. But I wanted a sonic identity on the record, using the same mics, the same producer, the same engineer, the same ingredients, so that it doesn't sound like a collection of demos, so to speak. It does have a sonic identity. It just takes you on a roller coaster ride from the screaming metal to the country music, and each song has its own challenges. When it comes time to lay that master vocal down, get on this mic and deliver that master vocal, you have to really put yourself kind of like an actor playing a role. You have to put yourself in character and know what is my metal voice and what is my country voice, because they're very different. And it is a challenge. I've enjoyed the process, and I'm going to be kind of sad when the sessions are done, because the last 2 years of recording this album have really brought me back to where I came from. I got to revisit all of those wonderful places musically that I've been the last 40 years. And at some point, we got to say, okay, it's done, put it out. Obviously now we're on tour. Theoretically, the album should come out before the tour starts, but I'm not quite done yet. We're not quite done with this record yet. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of musicians, a lot of different players sending in files. And now a lot of it's done remotely, where you're sending files back and forth and you're not in the same room together creating the music, which is a totally different aspect of the challenge in making good albums in the modern day. But like I said, Gene Simmons is still on my shoulder telling me what to do. So I've got some great mentors and some amazing musicians surrounding me. So I'm pretty confident that this record is going to be one that I will treasure for the rest of my life. Now, that being said, mainstream, are my metal fans going to love the country shit? Are my country fans going to love the metal stuff? I don't know. I hope that they will listen with an open mind, but really I make music now to please myself. I realized after selling 3 million albums that there are billions of people who don't like me and don't like what I do. So, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'll take the 3 million.
Right.
I'll take the fans that are ready to embrace this music. And the fact that I've been able to cross through a couple of generations now. A lot of the younger Ron Keel Band fans, they weren't even alive when Keel was having our heyday. They're Ron Keel Band fans, or they're Ron Keel fans. And you can't please all of them, but I think that the most important thing is to stay true to yourself and create music that you love. And hopefully somebody will listen. Hopefully somebody will enjoy it. And trying to sell it these days, obviously, that's a huge challenge on top of creating it, making it,
Right.
releasing it, and selling it with our company, RFK Media. So I know the mountain. It's a big mountain, but I've climbed it before.
I like the way he did that. I like the way he segues right into other stuff that we
Right.
already had on tap. So, folks, I mean, if you want to know more about Ron Keel, make sure you check the show notes up above or down below, because all his information is in there. Yeah, so let's just keep going with this. Do you have a potential date for the drop of the album?
I've got a couple of potential dates, and either it has to happen this summer before our next big festival date, which is Stadium Rock 80s in Louisville, Kentucky, August 4th with Queensryche. It obviously would be a great benefit to have the album out before the big August run. We've got some big shows in August and September. But if it's not done by then we're going to have to wait till Black Friday. So once it's done, it's done. And but I don't have a firm release date. We've already released a couple of singles.
Right.
The new single, Hard on the Outside, Heart on the Inside, is something I'm very proud of. It's the Ron Keel Band with a guitar-driven anthem that really means a lot to me, which really kind of represents what the Ron Keel Band is all about. It's, if you have to put it in a stylistic box, it's commercial, hard Southern rock. Got a little twang to it, but it's a guitar-driven anthem. I'm really proud of the new song, and it will be something that really characterizes what the Ron Keel Band is all about on this record, because that band can do it all. Ron Keel Band does all of these songs from all of the eras. When we play live, for instance, we open for Queensryche. I mean, we're going to do the heavy shit. I mean, we're going to come out, all guns blazing. When we do a biker event such as the Sturgis Rally, you throw in some of the more Southern rock, American chicken fried rock and roll, and so you tailor the show to the audience. I've always done that, even back in the day when we were opening for Metallica. You got to throw in the heavy stuff. You put on the leather jacket and you scream your guts out. When you're opening for Bon Jovi, you got to throw in the more radio friendly songs, the chick songs, so to speak. But when you're opening for Bon Jovi, and this, we did the Slippery When Wet tour in front of, Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row, sold out, and the audience is predominantly teenage girls. So you kind of tailor the song list to those that demographic. So we're able to do that with the Ron Keel Band opening for Queensryche, and we've opened for Dwight Yoakam. Wow. So you just kind of tailor the set list to that audience, give them what they came for. I'm a firm believer in that. It doesn't compromise my beliefs or my likes, because we don't play any songs I don't like. I will never go on stage and sing or play a song that I don't love. I've reached the point in my career where I believe I have that right. So every song in any Ron Keel Band show is a song that I know, I love, and hopefully the audience will appreciate that. And now, of course, when we do the whiskey, we just did the whiskey in Hollywood. We did a Vegas show last week, and you've got to throw in the Keel hits that everybody knows and loves. So there were 9 Keel songs in the show. You got to go back to the Steeler days and throw a few of those in there. As I head to South America next month, I'm going to Latin America for the first time in my life. Bucket list thing for me, and I know what the fans want there.
Right.
I'm going to give it to them. I have no problem pulling those 9 Keel songs and putting them on the set list and giving those fans what they've waited a lifetime to hear and experience. So you've got to give the audience what they want. A lot of it, to me, an album experience or a live show is kind of like watching a movie. You can't have 90 minutes of car chase scenes. You've got to have some dialogue. You got to have some sex scenes. You got to have some. It's a ride. It's an experience. So every live show and every album should reflect that, and not just be the same. Unless you're AC/DC, which is totally cool, man. I'm a huge AC/DC fan. Every song can sound just like the last album. I don't give a shit. I'm buying it and I'm cranking it up.
True that. So over the years, with all the music you've done and everything that you've done with music, if you could cover one song, what would it be?
Oh, I cover them all, man. I've probably had, I think at last count, we've had 17, 18 covers. And there's a cover on the new album, Black Sabbath track called Children of the Grave.
Mm-hmm.
And a good story behind that. I was in Black Sabbath for a very short time in 1984. Right. And it just stuck with me. This 2-week period in 84 has been something, and I'm proud of it. It was a great experience for me. I never toured with them or released an album with Sabbath, but to get to know Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler and hang with the godfathers, the founding fathers of metal, and to be a very small thread in that tapestry that is Black Sabbath has always been a thrill and an honor for me. So a few years ago, a producer in the UK, his name's Michael Sullivan, put together an all-star Black Sabbath tribute project with ex-members of Sabbath and members of the Sabbath family, like Rudy Sarzo, who played with Ozzy, Vinny Appice on drums. Yep. And there was an all-star Black Sabbath tribute called Emerald Sabbath. And he recruited me to sing 3 songs on that release. So I got to cover an Ozzy track, Hole in the Sky, a Dio track, Die Young, and an Ian Gillan track, Trashed. So I got to cover all 3 classic Sabbath singers on that one release, and they were doing a volume 2 and asked me to sing Children of the Grave. And I said, well, I'll do the session for free if you'll let me put this track on my new album, Keel World, to represent that Black Sabbath part of my history. And it's really cool because it's got Bobby Rondinelli on drums. Bobby toured with Sabbath. He played in Rainbow. He toured with Sabbath. Neil Murray on bass, who also played in Whitesnake and Sabbath. And Neil and Bobby both toured with Sabbath, but they never recorded a Sabbath song together. So on my new album, Keel World, the Children of the Grave cover is the first time Neil Murray and Bobby Rondinelli have ever recorded a Black Sabbath song together in the studio, and I got to put my voice on it, and I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
No,
now I got to buy it.
Song too. Yeah, that's a
now I
great
really have to buy it. I was going to buy it anyway, but now I really have to buy it.
Yeah, it's a smoking track, and like I said, you're going to get metal and country and everything, but you're going to get Sabbath and Ronnie Lee Keel on the same record. So it's I'm schizo, so am I. So
I mean, I'm good with that because I listen to everything. I literally listen to everything. From classic to opera to hardcore rap to the heaviest of death metal to
right
country.
On.
If it's a good song, it's a good song. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and I grew up at a time, Ben, when there were such clearly defined barriers between styles. You could hear Black Sabbath and the Eagles on the same radio station.
Yep.
And when I was growing up, I just soaked it all in. I thought, well, Take It Easy by the Eagles and Paranoid by Sabbath. I mean, it's cool. I love it. I loved it all. And so there was no prejudice back then against you got to be this or you got to be that. And you got to say this or do that or whatever. And it was a much simpler time when people were much more accepting of different styles, different textures, and there was no prejudice in music back then as there is now. And the metal fans are they're hardcore. I mean, if it's not metal, it sucks, right? And I don't even know what metal is anymore. To me, metal was Priest and Maiden. I mean, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden.
Yep.
That's the stuff I grew up thinking, well, that's metal. And even with the new wave of British heavy metal with Def Leppard and so forth. Def Leppard was metal to us in 1980. So
now all of them are on the classic rock channel.
Exactly. I grew up playing classical music. I was classically trained in school, playing the classics from the great composers of 500 years ago. And then the blues and jazz. And to me, it was all just different items on the menu, and I want to chew on all of it.
Right.
I was listening to the classic rock station the other day on the way to work, and they had Slipknot and Korn on the fucking classic rock station. And I was like, oh, my fucking gods. What the hell just happened?
Go figure, man. I mean, and you're going to hear all of that on my station, KRFK Radio.
Right.
KRFKradio.com. We have our own station, which I'm extremely proud of. And we are extremely diverse as well. I don't program the station. It's not my favorite music. It's hopefully what the fans and the listeners will enjoy, because we have a 30,000 song playlist that really takes you, at full circle all day, 24/7. And we'll play whatever the fans hopefully will enjoy. It's not my choice. I have a program director, Corey Harker, who does a great job of he's really in tune with both the old school hard rock and metal and the fresh up and coming new bands and all that. So I enjoy listening to KRFK Radio just so I can not only relive, here's some of the classics that you're not going to hear Pour Some Sugar on Me probably on KRFK. You're probably not going to hear You Shook Me All Night Long, but you're going to hear a lot of AC/DC and Leopard and all the bands that have built the foundation, but also all the bands that are carrying on those traditions as well.
Nice. Wow. Speaking of newer music, is there a newer band that has grabbed your attention as of late?
There are, and I try to promote those when I see something online that it'll pop up in your Facebook feed or whatever. I'll try and share it and try and help spread the word. There are a band called Crashing Wayward, which if I could plug this, this is a new band that RFK Media has recently released their debut album, Crashing Wayward, which is, I guess you'd call it, and they call it, modern alternative rock along the lines of Stone Temple Pilots, Queens of the Stone Age. To me, it's just great rock music with fantastic songs, great hooks, a supreme frontman voice, Peter Summit, the lead singer of this, Crashing Wayward. We also have a CD called Live the Rock, which is full of 15 tracks we love by 15 artists we believe in. And these are bands from all over the world. Talk about Night Stinger from Brazil. These guys are fantastic. Great 80s, classic kind of 80s style rock band from Brazil. Deirdre from Phoenix, Arizona, who opened up for us in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Snakebite from Germany. And Sisters Doll, great band from Australia. So we tried, we could not sign all these bands to the label. I just don't have the time to invest into each project. So we put them all together on one album called Live the Rock. And it's got my band, Ron Keel Band, and the Fifth as well. And Don Jameson, the heavy metal comic.
I actually have that album.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
When I saw you in New Hampshire. That one.
Thanks for bringing that home, man.
Yeah,
we're very proud to. You got to keep supporting the new music, man. You gotta water the plants. You got to feed the crops, or we're all going to starve. You've got to support new artists and new music. Keep your ears open. That's one thing that hosting my own radio show has forced me to do. I can't shut myself away in the bubble. I've got to stay in tune with what's happening in order to showcase new songs, new artists, and new classic rock from like the new Judas Priest album. I mean, I bought it the day it came out. That's going to happen. If Priest, AC/DC, Scorpions, whatever, they release a new record, I'm buying it the day it comes out. Not only, it's just a tradition with me, supporting the new music from our heroes and from those young up-and-coming bands that are carrying on those traditions. It's so hard to make it now. It's easier and cheaper to make records, but it's much more difficult to make a living. They can make a record on their laptop, but man, they can't make a living. And we've got to do everything we can to share that music with each other. That's what it's all about. That's what we used to do at parties. You know, when I was a kid, we'd all bring our 45 records and we share them with each other and turn us on to the new singles and the new top 40 countdown. And sharing music it's basically at the core of everything I do.
Right. Trading 45s like we used to trade comic books.
Exactly.
That actually kind of goes into a question I got. How do you feel about the landscape of the music industry now versus like back in the 80s?
Well, it's obviously very different. And I am glad that I had my heyday 40 years ago and got some traction, got my name and my music on the map, so to speak, because now it's impossible. You're talking 100,000 songs a day, flooding content on the internet. And it's very difficult for a band to get recognized. On the other hand, I believe that dreams can come true, and there are still superstars out there. You can rise above. You can sell out an arena, but the road to selling out that arena is much more difficult than it ever was. So one of my favorite artists a couple of days ago, Daughtry, huge Daughtry fan.
Chris
and
Daughtry, yeah.
He was opening for Breaking Benjamin at a half full arena, and he's the opening act. And the arena's half full, and this is multi-platinum. The guy's got his first #1 record now, and still he's an opening act in a half full arena. I enjoyed the shit out of the show, man. I loved it, but it just goes to show how difficult it is these days. The industry is now a pale imitation of what it once was, and it's never coming back. A lot of musicians will lament about Spotify or streaming services, so to speak. And I just don't get that. I mean, yeah, I don't bitch publicly about the checks from streaming royalties because they're slim. They're very slim. But I remember back in the day in 40 years ago, 85, we spent $150,000 in one day to shoot a music video called The Right to Rock. And we gave it away for free to the original music streaming service. That was called MTV.
Yep.
And you're not getting any royalties from MTV. You just spent $150K to make one video. You give it to MTV and just hope they play it. And we aren't getting any royalties from that. You're just hoping for some exposure, so to speak. But that being said, 1 million people could see your video on MTV at once, and you could sell a shit ton of records.
Right.
But that was the original streaming service, man, and we weren't expecting any royalties. We just wanted to get our music played on MTV. And
I think what we're lacking right now in this world is, I mean, you got American Idol, okay, great, Yahoo. We're missing the new American Bandstand kind of a show, where every week you can bring different new artists and put them on stage and get them in front of people, get them in front of an audience. That doesn't exist anymore.
you are right, Jeff. And that was a big influence on me in the 70s when we had shows like, there were just a few. American Bandstand was one of them. Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Yes.
There was a show called In Concert that was on at midnight on Friday night or something. And I would stay up late to watch Black Sabbath and Aerosmith. And the first time I saw Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Sabbath, I saw Sabbath do Paranoid on one of those late night rock, Don Kirshner's rock concert or something. I was hooked.
Right.
And now there are so many ways to get music that you've got options. Back then we had no option. You're going to stay up late on Friday night. You're going to watch In Concert. So you can see Kiss or Aerosmith or Ted Nugent or whatever. Nowadays, just click on it. Go to YouTube and search, rock, metal, whatever. You're not going to find the good stuff.
Right.
Because
they've shifted. Everything seems to have shifted from, bands and groups to individuals. American Idol is all about individuals. The Masked Singer is all about individuals. All of those new shows that are very, very popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where's the bands? I want to
point.
see the bands.
And
Where's
even
the
now,
show with the bands.
The word band doesn't mean what it used to mean to me. I mean,
No.
Ron Keel Band is that. It's a band. It's a family. It's a group of guys that will leave bullets for each other. It's not like a side project where everybody's in 7 different bands like they are now. I've always been a band guy. I like having my street gang. Everybody else's back. We're all in this together, all for one for all. That kind of thing. I mean, it just doesn't exist a whole lot anymore. Where the parts are interchangeable, even from bands that are touring with one original member. And we don't have to get into that, but it's not like it used to be, and it never will be. I mean, we're not going back to the horse and the covered wagons, man. We're going to drive sports cars. It's just the way it is. The guy who built wagons for a living is out of work, and I'm glad that I still got a job.
So I wanted to ask you about mixing genres. Okay. And I'm just going to give you like my opinion. Linkin Park, okay, mixed rock and rap, in my opinion. Okay. They did it fantastically. You've got Southern rock, country music mixed with metal. Fantastic. It took off. Do you have a favorite of yours, or if you would like to see two kind of genres get mixed together?
I've really, Jeff, try and concentrate on my own music. And if I hear something I like, I know I like it. Like this Crashing Wayward record. I mean, I don't know anything about modern alternative rock. It's not my wheelhouse, but I heard this record and thought, this is great music. I love it. From my own personal standpoint, mixing genres is what created the metal cowboy. I mean, it's two different sides of the coin. I was on tour in the 90s for about 7 years straight, really, really grinding on tour with a country band. And we were doing the military bases throughout Europe, entertaining our troops on various military bases throughout Europe and the Mediterranean. And at the end of the tour, I was burnt out, man. I was just done. And I'm tired of the musicians bitching about the food or the hotel or, how much are we getting paid? And you play a military base in the middle of nowhere for 27 people, but these are our troops, man. You'd fly to Suda Bay, Crete, I mean, in the middle of nowhere. And it was a thrill to entertain those people. And I just got tired of dealing with all the bullshit. So I decided to stay in Italy. I'm just going to stay. And I did. I stayed for a year and lived in Italy, in Sigonella, Sicily. Drank a lot of wine, ate a lot of pizza, rode horses on the beach, and I thought I was done. And then after about 3 weeks, I got the itch to play and sing. So I went into this little bar in Sigonella, Sicily, and did an acoustic show on a Sunday night. And the bar owner little Italian lady, Mama Elio. She came up to me after the gig and said, "You wonderful, you el voce." They love the voice in Italy. "You el voce. We want you to put a band together. You sing here 3 nights a week, and we pay you $1 million a week." I go, $1 million a week, really, to sing in a band? Well, it's $1 million lira, which was about $600. Anyway, I said, all right. So I put a band together, and we were the house band at this pub in Italy for about 6 months. And it was such a liberating experience. I was able to play country music and metal at the same gig. We would just literally just mix it up, and the audience loved it all. They just wanted to hear the voice and have fun and party and see the crazy American jumping around with the headset mic, dancing on the tables and playing and singing. So I wrote some songs while I was there. And this finally, all good things must come to an end, right? I had to come back to America. My visa was going to expire. So I went into the studio there in Italy to record the songs that I had written while I was there. Kind of a audio scrapbook of my year in Italy. This is the stuff I did. This is just a souvenir, basically, for me personally. And after we got done with the session, I took the CD into the bar where we were playing. And I handed it to the bartender. I said, "Hey, man, put this on the system," right? And he puts it on the system, and I'm sitting there with a bunch of U.S. Navy guys. These are our Navy servicemen. They're all having a beer after, with me after they got off work or whatever. And the guy on my left says, "Man, that's good country music. I like that." And the guy on my right says, "That fucking rocks, man. That's awesome." And this guy thinks it's country, and this guy thinks it's rock. We got something here. We've got something here that it's a hybrid. It's the storytelling of country music, the way the songs are built around the voice and the melody and the stories you tell, but with screaming guitars, thunderous drums, powerful music behind it. And you put it all together, and a lot of people call it Southern rock. Like you said, for lack of a better term, it's hard rock with a twang.
Right.
But that's how I became the metal cowboy. Right then and there, I realized I've got something here. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. And my musical style really hasn't deviated from that session till this day. Some of it's twangier than others, and some of it's more aggressive or more powerful than others. But it all fits under that same umbrella.
There was a reason why I asked that question, because a few years back, I was introduced to a new band. They've been around for a little while, but it was a mixture of metal and Celtic. And that's Blackmore's Night, Richie Blackmore.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you followed what he's been doing with Candace Knight.
I call it,
it's Celtic rock.
It's Celtic metal, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic and one of the best mix of genres that I've ever come across. That's
a great call, man. And I love it when people can do that. And obviously Yngwie was the one who really brought neoclassical metal into the forefront and combined Bach and Paganini and so forth with the electric guitar. So I do appreciate and respect that. There are, depending on the song, there are influences of both blues and classical music with me. I mean, you'll know if you're in a major or minor scale, if you're going to play a classical Blackmore style solo over the top of a minor key, or you're in a major key, you've got to treat the soloing and the vocal melody totally different.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
so as a songwriter, some of your compositions have actually ended up in TV shows, from what I've read.
I've been very blessed to have a great run with TV and films, especially back in the 90s. A lot of the country music, we had dozens of big time TV and film placements, and it put my kids through college. It certainly helped pay the bills. Back then, the royalties were a lot better than they are now, that you've got canned AI generated cheap tracks, cheap tracks. But that was another great opportunity for me to get my music in those TV shows and films like the X-Files and King of the Hill and the Simpsons.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on. Two of my favorite shows right there.
Yeah, X-Files. And then you'll find at times when now some of the big time cats that are producing movies or directing film or TV shows, grew up as Keel fans, and they'll need a song for a particular scene in a movie like Men in Black 2, when the guy says, "I want to put Keel Speed Demon in this scene, in the mailbox scene," a famous scene in Men in Black 2, where literally it was just the luck of the draw, man. The guy's a Keel fan, and he wants that song in that scene. It still happens to this day, and working with some people in TV and films that grew up as fans, and now they're important people in the business that have continued to throw me a bone every now and then. So I appreciate that.
Nice. So you brought up AI. What are your personal thoughts on AI?
Wow, it's here, man. It is what it is. It's the same, just like the guy who built covered wagons for a living when Henry Ford kicked his ass. I mean, it is what it is. It's here. It's not going anywhere. Is it a benefit or I mean, dude, a lot of us are out of work because not me, but my sister was a travel agent, and she had a really successful business as a travel agent. The internet comes along, and now we just book our own travel. It's an obsolete industry.
Right,
the guy who used to pump your gas, you used to go to the gas station, and there was a guy there, an attendant who pumped your gas for you. He's done. He's not pumping any more gas. It's progress. It is what it is, man. And I can't control it. I could bitch about it, but I choose not to. Like I said, I'm very thankful that there's a lot more behind me than there is in front of me. I'm 63 years old. I've had 40 years of wonderful experiences and great music and friendships, and seen all my dreams come true. I feel, I don't know what the next generation is going to embrace or enjoy. And the fact that technology's always been my friend. I mean, I like electric guitars. If we're for electricity, we wouldn't have electric guitars. So I appreciate electricity. Where does it stop? I mean, the internet, has it helped or not?
Right.
I don't know, man. I think millions of people saw Aerosmith on Don Kirshner's rock concert, and now 3 people might see my interview on your show. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, well, no, there's more than 3 up there right now.
Okay, well, I hope so, and I appreciate that. But the audience is so divided and so segregated now that we don't have multiple. We only, back then you had Circus Magazine, Cream, Hit Parader, those TV shows we talked about, or you're going to see a show at an arena at a concert tour. Right. Now you've got so many more options for entertainment. And we could bitch about it all we want, but it's not going anywhere, man. The internet's probably going to stay here until the power grid fails.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm basically your age. So, I mean, it's like, video games. These kids today, they have no idea what Pong was all about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, seriously.
Or football or, actual sports, whatever.
I mean, to race a car, we had to take a static cling thing that would stick to the TV so you could follow the track.
Yeah.
Well,
I know a lot of people lament about the state of things, and I miss the old days and all that, man. I miss a lot of shit. I miss my mom and dad. I miss I miss a lot of stuff. I miss my hair. But
I mean, up here or down here?
Well, up here. But missing stuff. I mean, the memories are still there. The music's still there. Right. The experiences, they can never take that away from us. They can never take away the chart positions or Madison Square Garden or all the music that I've made, all the memories. And it was great. I look forward to making new memories tomorrow and doing another song and doing another show and making a new album and making a new tour. My windshield is still a lot bigger than my rearview mirror. Every now and then I'll do a social media post going, 40 years ago today, Keel had our first show, or 40. It's celebrating the 40th anniversary now of a lot of accomplishments. So I got to be cognizant of that, but a lot of it slips by and go, wow, man, because I'm really focused on the road ahead. If you take your eyes off the road, you're going to crash. And I plan on finishing strong. I'm gonna make it to the end of the line, and I'm going to finish strong.
I like to tell people that, forget about the past. The past got you to where you are. Focus on the future.
Mike Ditka said, you live in the past, you die in the past.
That's correct.
And I get that. I get that. I don't miss the 80s. The 80s for me it's like college. And I guess a lot of people had fun in college. But for me, it was starving. we were living on the streets. We were in danger. We were taking a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cutting it in 4 ways. Each guy in the band got a quarter of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Still learning how to sing, how to play, how to navigate life and business and all that. I mean, I don't miss that. I don't miss the drugs, and I don't miss the struggle or the danger or any of that, man. I spent my whole life chasing stuff, chasing dreams, chasing songs, chasing women, chasing a place to call home. Now I got all that, man. I got a home where I finally, after 40 years, a place that a really nice cabin here in the woods in the middle of nowhere by the river, and I'm on the internet and I'm 5 minutes from the airport, but I'm home. I found a place where I belong after 10 years in LA, 10 years in Vegas, and 10 years in Nashville, the music capitals of the world, where I grew up and cut my teeth in Vegas, Nashville, and Hollywood. But none of them were ever home. That's where I had to go to work. And I finally found a home. I found the love of my life 16 years ago when I met my wife, Renee. I found the songs and the music and the voice that's still with me to this day. So I'm not so intent on going back to the time when I didn't have any of that stuff. I mean, I'm cool right where I'm at, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, well, I think what a lot of people forget about is it's the past and those memories that make you who you are and make you drive even further. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Good or bad. You know
yes,
what I mean?
Those experiences all made us who we are, and I don't regret any of it, and I cherish it, and I'm very thankful for it and grateful for it.
Right.
But
I mean, I was born in '63, so I went through that same era that you went through in the same manner. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of tough times, but it's the tough times that make you stronger.
And there's still a lot of common ground. And we're still living under the threat of nuclear war.
Yep.
In the 60s, we had to hide underneath our desk for the drills.
We had the drills. Yep.
You know, you were one button push away from Armageddon. I think we're still there. Some things never change, apparently. But we're not going to get into politics, are we?
Right.
But man, literally, that was hanging over. Nuclear Armageddon was a distinct possibility when I was growing up, and apparently it still is. So I'm gonna live it up before I lay it down. But
that's right.
Until they push that fucking button, I'm gonna party hard.
You know,
I like that saying. I'm gonna live it up until I lay it down.
Well, I live my life like everybody's number comes up.
Yeah.
You never know when your number's gonna come up. So live today the best that you can and have as much fun as you possibly can.
Totally agree, my friend.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're all on a one-day contract.
Yep. Pretty much. Excellent. So we are.
Did I lose my mic?
No, you're still there.
No, okay, cool. All right.
It muffled out for a second, but I think that's just because you were mumbling.
Yeah, well, I'm old. I tend to do that sometimes.
I was waiting to see if you'd start drooling. But
no, not yet. I do that when I sleep.
Okay. We only have about 5 more minutes with this amazing guest. So, I mean, there's been a shitload of comments.
Really? That's cool.
A ton of people watching.
For tuning in and listening and watching. If there's any questions that anybody has, man, I'm here for you.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm sure there was,
right,
but
I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
Number 1, what do you put on your pizza?
Everything. I like food on my pizza. Lots of onions, all kinds of meats and cheese and veggies. And I like the supreme loaded, piled high with all kinds of good stuff, man. I like a lot of ingredients.
All right. So that was question number 1. Question number 2, cats or dogs?
Birds.
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 Not those birds?
We have a parrot. Her name is Toots, and she is one of the best friends of my entire life. She's 20 something years old now. I should know this. I feel bad, but my wife picked her out as an egg, and she is literally one of my best friends. She's a parrot. She's African Senegal, and very intelligent, very communicative, very sensitive to the emotions. I mean, she'll talk to me. She is absolutely amazing. I also have a tarantula. Always been a tarantula guy because being a road musician, you could throw 10 crickets in there and head out on the road and come back in a month and she's fine. So very low maintenance. For $1 a month, you can have your tarantula pets, but we don't own any dogs or cats. That's an emotional investment that I'm not sure that I will ever have again. I've had a couple of dogs and cats that were like best friends to me. And when they passed, it is heartbreaking. I am doing a benefit in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, July 27th, Rock for Rescues, which is rescue animals, which is a wonderful cause. And I will take my music, my songs, and try and help raise awareness and money for this great cause. But I'm probably not bringing any dogs home from that event.
Very cool. Very cool.
No.
So,
Okay. No, that's a good, honest answer.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Now, how long will a parrot live? Don't they live like 80 years or something?
This parrot should live to be 35 or so. So she's still got some years left in her.
Okay, good.
I hope she outlives me, man, because I'll be heartbroken.
Well, that's the hardest thing about having a pet.
Exactly. Right? It is. And, I've always been a nomad, and very, very difficult to, it's hard enough having a wife and a bird, much less that emotional investment in a dog or a cat. But, certainly I know how important these pets are to your family. My bird is the same way for me. And certainly understand that, the longer we live, the more we lose. And that's a line from the new song, Heart on the Outside, Heart on the Inside. It's a line that means a lot to me, which as we grow older and lose more friends, pets, whatever, it really rings true. The longer we live, the more we lose. That line and lots more lyrical statements can be found in the new single, Hard on the Outside, Heart on the Inside, on the YouTube channel and at ronkeel.com.
I like that little plug right there. Little plug.
Gotta do it.
Take care of business.
Right.
Take care of business.
Jags, you've been very quiet tonight, but do you have a question for our amazing guests before we wrap the show up?
I pretty much asked the ones I wanted to ask. So you guys covered most of the shit that I had in my head anyway.
Yeah,
I get going and I tend to flap the jaws. I'm sorry.
No, that's a beautiful show. I mean, we actually prefer those styles of shows because you're comfortable enough to just let things go.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, I got to interview the drummer of Godsmack. And I think I only asked 2 questions in an hour and a half interview because the rest of it, he took it and just fucking went with it. I was like, hey, who cares? I think everybody's here for him, not me.
Most drummers are like that because when we interviewed Vinny Appice, he did the same thing. I think we asked 2 questions.
Yeah, I only asked him 2 questions, and he just went with all these stories of Godsmack. I was like, shit, I was happy. Just listen to it.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to just let it out and be myself and share some of these topics and stories with you guys. So thanks for having me. And I've had a good time. Hope your audience has enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's been a ton of questions. Well, not questions, a ton of comments. There was a couple of questions, but I missed them because you were in the middle of something, and I won't interrupt a guest. No. Not when they're on a roll like that. Let them go, man. It's all good stuff.
Thank you again.
I have one final question before I close out the show. Dead or alive, somebody that you have never performed with that you would love to.
You mean as an opening act or a duet partner?
Duet partner.
And Wilson from Heart.
Nice.
I mean, the greatest female rock voice of all time, in my opinion. And I just heard today on Metal Shop a new duet she did with Disturbed. Have you heard this track with Ann Wilson and Disturbed?
Yet, but I heard about it.
My God, highly recommended. David Draymond, obviously a fantastic singer, great guy. Had a chance to work with him, but any opportunity to collaborate with any of your heroes is a true honor.
Right.
And like I said, the chance to share the stage with Paul Stanley from Kiss, and to open for Bon Jovi on the Slippery When Wet tour. I've opened for Aerosmith, Van Halen, Bon Jovi. Never toured with or met AC/DC. That would be huge. But I've had a lot of dreams come true, and the chance to rub elbows at least with a lot of my heroes. So I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome. So on that note, folks, I'm going to wrap the show up. We're going to start with Ron. On the socials and websites, where do you like interacting with your fans?
You can find me the one-stop shop, ronkeel.com, and everything's linked up there. I'm a firm believer in the conventional website, and the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, X, Instagram, all that is all there at ronkeel.com. So find me there. Join Patreon. It's a wonderful fan experience where you get all of the exclusive content at patreon.com/Ron Keel. These people get everything and they get it first.
Excellent. Jags.
What's up, guys? You can catch me Wednesday nights on Hellfire Entertainment, Chronic Sports. That's at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thursday nights, you got Buzzkill Cinema, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you're a horror film fan, join us. We talk about all the old shit from like the 70s and 80s. Other than that, that's about it for me.
And on occasion, you can find him here on our show, filling in for our backup, who's backing up the backup.
Right?
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ron's way. StillToking.com. Everything's on the website. I'm a firm believer of websites, too. All this other social media stuff can just get really fucking confusing, especially to somebody like me. So, StillToking.com, or if you're on Facebook, just go to Token with the Dead. And don't forget, go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or there's a link on our website. Our novel is out. Make sure you go pick it up. Don't be a boob.
You done?
I think so.
Okay. So, no, man, we want to thank Ron for coming out and hanging out with us tonight, telling us some kick-ass stories. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Everything you want to know about this amazing gentleman is in the show notes, up above, down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. But to all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Peace.